Hey everybody, it's me, Mark Wiggins. Welcome to another episode of Off the Bench. I am your host, Mark Wiggins, and we are having our conversations and extensions and interviews from guests from our magazine. Today, we are fortunate enough to have with us one of the first ride or diers to contribute. She is a coach. She's a wellness life type business coach, and I'm clearly messing this all up, and she'll fix it for me because it's kind of like a new, different area that I'm interested in, and great. She brings great content. So we have Chelese Perry of Chelese Perry LLC, and as you know, I don't do bios. So Chelese, why don't you introduce yourself to the people?
Absolutely. First, Mark, thank you so much for just inviting me on your podcast. I've been excited and looking forward to this. But everyone, I'm Chelese Perry LLC. You know what? I'm an executive wellness coach. I'm a Reiki master. I'm a life coach, but I like to break it down. I'm a person that helps people to solve problems. So whatever you want to call me is fine. But I want to make the distinction as to the reason why you see wellness in what I present to the world is that wellness is a very large component of and foundational for my coaching. So currently I coach in the corporate space as well as the federal government space as a coach and facilitator. And that's more in line with the executive coaching part of my business, but I also coach private clients, and we get into different aspects of coaching, and I bring in energy work. Because if you noticed earlier, I said that I'm also a Reiki master. And for those of you that don't know what that means, I'm not going to go into all of the details about what that is, but it's an energy modality. So essentially, if you've done yoga or any other type of practice like that, you're working with your chakra system, which is your energy system. And just imagine this, Mark, that when we're born, we have this energy system, and they're the 7 major chakras. And when you're born, those chakras are vibrant, they're bright. So let's just imagine you've got your root chakra, just stay there. It's bright and it's vibrant. It's kind of like your mic right there. And then over time, as different life events happen, different traumas and things like that, that color becomes dull. It's less vibrant, right? And there's certain blockages that occur. And what I do is I help people to clear those blockages, and how I align it with business. And let me just say, one of my programs that I've developed is called Align Chakras for Business. So if we stay with that example, that one example around the root chakra, the root chakra represents things like safety and security, food, clothing, shelter, our mindset around money, for example. And just imagine, as a business person, if you have a blockage in that area, right? It's going to foundationally impact your entire business and your life. So I help people to get to a place to make those colors once again vibrant, right? And from a business standpoint, when you look at it and you can follow the root chakra system, you start with the first 3, right? That's your root, your sacral, and your solar plexus. And I'm not going to go into all of them right now, but just as an example, that's the foundation of your business, right? And then as you continue, you go to the expansion of your business, and then the transformation of your business. So that's why I say I explain that, so that people can make the distinction that, it's wellness and well-being in all aspects, and we utilize the chakra system as a tool to help us get there. Make sense?
Oh, it makes perfect sense. It's an
Yes.
alignment. It rolls right up. And I've actually had Reiki done on me before, and it was an experience. Again, for someone, if you're not even familiar with it, it kind of says, oh, but when you listen to it, understand it, open your mind to it, you kind of go, oh,
Yeah.
it makes sense. And when they were done, I was telling a story. They felt some block. It was with my knee. I was feeling my
Yes.
knee. Said, I feel your knee's got some blocks, some energy there. She's working on my knee, and then she started moving to my head. And Chelese, I'm gonna promise you right now. First of all, I got sleepy, and then second
Uh-huh.
of all, I think my breathing accelerated for a moment. It was like I was like, "What's going on?" She was
Yes.
like, I'm just releasing and lining stuff up because you have major blocks." And I was
Yes.
like, sounds. I was a little depressed, to be honest with you. I had major blocks because I didn't know they existed. So how are your clients finding your whole 360 to this? I know you can do individual components, but you 360 this whole thing. So how are your clients now receiving you?
Okay. So The thing is that I utilize, let's say, for example, the Reiki. It informs my coaching. It's not like I'm sitting in sessions, people are on the table or anything like that. We're utilizing the energy and the principles of it to inform the coaching. So, imagine it like this. Imagine someone comes to see me, right? And they are, generally they're either entrepreneurs or business people. They're high achievers, go-getters, and they are dealing with things like stress, productivity issues, work-life balance, difficult bosses or difficult colleagues. The list goes on, right? Some of those basic fundamental things that we're either all dealing with or have dealt with at some point in time in our careers. And when they sometimes come to me, it could be one area or multiple areas where they're kind of like on that upward incline, where they're feeling like, you know what, I'm struggling, I'm suffering, I don't know how to deal with this stuff. I feel like there's a lot of resistance. Let's use the word resistance. So they come to me, we work together to help the goal is to start to lower that resistance, right? Sometimes how to do that are things like identifying self-limiting beliefs, eliminating that critical voice we may have in our head, eliminating sometimes worthiness issues. And I'll give you an example. Let's just say we have worthiness issues around money, okay? We're hustling and we're grinding, but yet we seem to have a difficult time either asking for the appropriate amount of money for what the value we're bringing as a business person. So in that instance, sometimes we have a scarcity mindset about money, or that we're not worthy to make a certain amount of money. So can you imagine how, if that's a block in your business or in life, just in general, how that impacts everything about, and I like to say the bottom line, right? So when people come to me, we start to do work to lower that incline. And just imagine we go through that process, you have a greater degree of self-awareness, that incline is being lowered, okay, and we get, like, let's say a level set, we neutralize that mess. Then what we do is we start to raise that incline again, and what that looks like is we start bringing in what I like to say is our sage powers, our intuition. We're feeling more grounded, we're feeling less stressed, we shored up our well-being. So therefore, as we're growing our business, as we're living our lives, we no longer have the resistance of all that other junk, that mindset that was sabotaging us, and we bring in the energy of things that are going to help us to expand and grow and succeed. And here's the thing. You can go through a lot of different programs, and I'm sure all of us have gone through all sorts of programs, read all sorts of books, spent all sorts of money, right? And then we find ourselves in some instances where we feel like, you know what, Chelese, I've been going 2 steps forward and 3 steps back. My goal is to help people get to a place of sustaining it. And through this framework and through my coaching, I have had people that are able to sustain a level of well-being, a level of expansion in their business, a level of abundance in their business, because we've minimized all that sabotaging stuff, right? And we've got them to a place where you can learn how to do that on your own, because it's a daily practice. This isn't something that, okay, you come to see me and, everything's solved, everything's great. I'm giving you the tools so that every day when you show up in your business or at work, that you have the tools to lower that incline yourself, so that the things that need to start to surface in order for you to be more productive, more abundant, more aligned, you're able to tap into those things yourself. Does that make sense?
Yes, Coach. It makes a whole lot of sense. You are definitely in. So, Chelese, take us back, because for the people who I know who are in your space, there was a journey, I would like to say, an off the bench moment that led you down this path, because I'm going to make the assumption that you weren't always in this space. Yes. As an adult. Tell us how we got there and what moved you through the process.
Okay, cool. So, I look at it as a journey. We all have different chapters of our lives, right? You've had your your childhood chapter, then your young adult chapter, and yada, 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 right? I was a corporate executive, sales and marketing executive for many years. Prior to that, obviously college, high school. I always had an interest, Mark, in the mind and the heart and psychology. Always had an interest in that. But I decided to go the more pragmatic route, and I went into business because I figured, you know what? I can get in and make an impact a little bit sooner in my career than I would if I had chosen psychology, because I would have had many, many, many more years of training in order, in my mind, to have the impact that I wanted to have. So I kind of fell into this sales and marketing thing, which, you know, there's a lot of psychology and a lot of understanding people in that field. Did that, was successful at it. Go into another chapter where got married, had my children, was a stay-at-home mom for a while. The marriage imploded, found myself divorced, found myself as a single mom. And during that process, you know, I had therapists, mediators, lawyers, the list, anyone that's been through it knows what I'm talking about, right? And systematically, those folks would say, are you a therapist? Are you a counselor of some sort? You seem to have some skin in the game. You seem to really understand and have a grasp of human nature, people, psychology. And a lot of that's due to reading and on my own and trying to heal myself, honestly. And my therapist at the time said, you know what? I'm thinking, have you ever thought of becoming a coach? Because I told her, you know, I don't necessarily want to become a therapist, which I respect therapists, and I'm like gung-ho for therapists, and I work alongside several, but I want to help people not deal with, like, let's say the traumas or the pathologies and things like that. I want to help people similar to myself, that you find yourself at a crossroads and you have a decision at that point, what direction am I going to go? Right? What is my true calling? What is my true purpose? What really excites me? And for me, I decided at that point to enter into an accredited program, get my coaching credentials at the same time, because I'm like you, high achiever, go-getter, want to just do the damn thing. I also became a Reiki master at that time. And I made a decision, and this is the reason why the chakra systems and the alignment with that is a passion for me, because that's what helped me to quiet the noise. I was going through a divorce, separation, divorce, custody, all that stuff, while going to school, learning these things, and making a decision, Mark, at that juncture. Well, Chelese, what are you going to do? Are you going to go the safe route and perhaps go back into a corporate environment? Or are you going to take a leap of faith and hang your shingle and do the doggone thing? So I wear the hat as I speak to you as a person that, yes, is a coach, right, and a facilitator, but I'm an entrepreneur. So some of the things that, as an entrepreneur and a business person, that people have to contend with, I've got skin in the game of what that means, because we have to deal with things like fear of failure, right? A lot of times what holds us back is because we're afraid to fail. But see, from my perspective, and this is what I want to share about this, is as you become more aligned, right, you're able to look at things like failure and mistakes instead of looking at it from a self-critical standpoint. And yes, you would analyze it, you learn from it, absolutely. And there are things that you need to look at from a critical eye, right? But once you become aligned, you're able to look at things from a different perspective. You're going to look at it from, well, listen, you know what? That didn't go so well, but what's the gift and opportunity in that? What have I learned from that? And when we start, go ahead.
Right there, because you're about to have a whole session.
Yes.
So you mentioned about looking at the gift and the opportunity inside of struggle/failure, right? Why are most people stuck at that spot, or they get to that pothole and they cannot seem to get out of that pothole when you meet them, or what's the general thought on that?
Okay, so let me make sure I understand the question. So when someone is at a point of a mistake or a failure and they just get stuck in that space?
Right, they're not doing what you just said. I'm looking, you know, I may have failed, but what was the gift and the opportunity? I look at, well, what's the mess and how do I get out of it? You know what I'm saying? So
What's the difference between, okay, well, it's kind of human nature to some degree, unless we are taught or transform our way of thinking to get stuck, right? It is a practice, right, and a learned behavior that requires work and intention to learn how to reframe things. You understand what I'm saying? So,
Okay.
so the difference between a person that gets stuck there and a person that doesn't is their mindset, is the mindset, and having an awareness, for example, what things are sabotaging me? What's causing me to be stuck? Okay, I had this failure, is it that I'm worried about what other people think? Is it that I'm afraid that it's going to happen again? But see, here's the thing. We know that failure, as we mature, for sure, failure and mistakes are a part of life. If you're not failing and making mistakes, you're generally not doing anything. You're not expanding and growing.
Right.
And once we accept that,
Mm-hmm.
right, and learn the skills to quiet the noise, here's the thing, quiet the noise or lower the incline of that voice that we tell ourselves when we fail, right? We got to learn how to control that inner voice and that inner dialogue and shift it from you loser, because I'm telling you, people go, and we know, I'll just say, you go to, I'm a loser, I'm a failure, how could I have done that, blah, 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 all of that stuff, working with people to shift that to, what did I learn? I'm human. I'm going to have self-compassion and grace for myself, right? And we're going to learn from it, and we're going to get back to work.
Yeah, that grace for self is like, you can't even say that sometimes. I'm have I can extend it real quick, but I rarely give it to myself. I'm like, I cannot believe, what I'm saying? And you got to start, like you say, extend it to yourself. And I'm finding that now more of a thing I have to do. Trying to drive this magazine, trying to get people on board, and I'm meeting no's, and people don't see my vision. I want to say, I can't believe you can't see what I see.
Yes.
And therefore, I don't necessarily get all of the goals I set for myself financially on sales and go, well, dude, this is magazine number 4 or 5 or whatever it was. Like, in number 1, I turned magazine number 1 around literally in 2 weeks. Like, getting people in, content, paid money, whatever, graphics team, go. That's, and I was just like, oh God, I got to get more people in this magazine. But at the same time, I'm like, it's a growing thing.
Yes.
I don't intend to do this short term, so I have to be ready to extend myself some grace on goals, maybe readjust some things, more realistic goals, obtainable goals. Of course, my original ones are like long ranger to get to that point. But it was only through the failures of other things and businesses in the past that allowed me to go, dude, it's really not that serious. We can get through this. So those are the kind of things that I feel like you're dealing with when your clients are coming in. Now, moving into your space now, you're combining all of this, the 360. Where are you finding, rephrase, during this time of COVID, what seems to be the biggest challenge for your clients and your customer base at this point?
I'm going to tell you, that's why I went into this really focusing in on well-being. People are under just stressors, different stressors. You're dealing with pandemic stress, you're dealing with work-life balance stress, because work and life are like this more so than ever, because we're working from home. You're working, sometimes one spouse is in the kitchen with their laptop, one's in the office with their laptop, and then you got Junior in the other room doing distance learning, right? So you're dealing with levels of stress that we didn't have a year ago. So I'd say one of the biggest things is dealing with the stressors of, work as it exists in the new reality, right? Dealing with that. And the normal stresses that we had before COVID, just general life stressors that make it very difficult sometimes to focus in on some of the other things. So imagine if you're dealing with, the anxieties and, let's say tension in your household because you're all stuck in there. You're dealing with, when you walk outside the door, the mask, the social injustice, the news, the politics, all this kind of stuff. It creates noise. It creates clutter. It's hard to have a clear mind and a clear focus. So I'd say, to answer your question, it's focusing on that well-being piece and quieting down a lot of that noise in order to, move forward with other aspects of their career.
Interesting. That is true. I think that, I find myself in those spaces, as the extroverted introvert. I have to be out. The energy source is other people, other groups, and I thrive off of that. And I don't get it, so I'm here by myself. I'm like, I don't like any energy today. Like any crowd is a good crowd. I'm at Walmart level. Like I just go to Walmart. Walmart's got the highest rate of COVID, but I'm going in there because I need to see some
You
people.
need people.
So I get out there just to move around just a little bit. Safe, mask always, but still
Right.
the energy of
Yeah.
engagement, and that is a problem. So
Yeah.
knowing that, I have to try to mitigate as best I can. When you were doing your duality of the coaching class and the Reiki at the same time, was that right? They were going.
Reiki. Yeah. They overlapped.
Which was more challenging?
I'd say that clearly the coaching program was probably more challenging and extensive than the Reiki. The Reiki almost supported and grounded me, which allowed the coaching program probably to be less challenging, because when you go into a coaching program, you're pretty much gutted. It's almost like everything that I'm going to do with any client, they're doing to you, right? And they're, I use the word, it's like coaching isn't therapy. When you go through a program, it's kind of like therapizing. Not a word, but I use that. So I'd say between the two, the coaching, because it's, writing papers, practicing, learning, growing in a condensed period of time. Yeah.
Awesome. That is just good. So where are you trying to situate to go next? What's the next move for Chelese Perry LLC, growth-wise, expansion-wise, or not, or where are we?
Okay. So thank you for asking.
My pleasure.
So, I've been in the corporate and federal government space, and solid, enjoy it. I've moved into a lot, and this is like during this phase, post-COVID or COVID phase, is doing a lot of diversity and inclusion work that I wasn't doing prior to all of the energies that we've had over the last several months. So that's a direction that I'm moving in, and just helping corporations, managers, and associates to have those difficult conversations and to learn how to listen, and to just basically basic communication, but being able to communicate on a very challenging sometimes subject matter. So that is a direction. But also what I'm very excited about is also growing my private practice with my Aligned Chakras for Business, and moving in the direction of, more group coaching with that, and down the line, more of an online approach to that, because there's me. I am my brand, so I cannot be everywhere. And my, corporate business takes up quite a bit of my time, but I have a passion for working with people where I'm not hired by a corporation, where they're my clients, because there's a difference when it's a private client. I like to say we get to dance a little bit differently than when I'm being hired by a corporate client, if that makes sense.
So you got like line dancing versus salsa. Is that what you're trying to tell me?
That's a pretty good description. Absolutely.
All right. Okay. But now I know you had a passion for young people. How are you applying your practice to, I know you're probably that mom where everyone seems to be drawn to when you walk out and show up at the gym. I know your son plays at a high level,
yes,
that kind of stuff. Are you having space in your business for the young at heart? Because I know they're struggling right now with this whole COVID thing.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I think not necessarily from a business standpoint, but I embody that no matter who I'm with. So yes, like to your point, I have some of the younger generation that comes to me, and I'd like to say in that space, I'm more of a mentor. Okay. Obviously I employ coaching strategies, but I'm more of a mentor. But my sweet spot, if you will, sometimes people ask, well, what's your niche? All those, all those questions. And first and foremost, it's somebody that's coachable, because there is nothing worse than working with folks that are not coachable. But I'd say that more so I'm in that, I don't generally coach the younger folks. I'm coaching more people that are, much older and professionals and upward.
Okay, fair,
Yeah.
fair. All right, that's awesome. Chelese, so tell the viewers how they can get in touch with you, set up a meeting or become a client or sign you on as a corporate trainer or whatever we're doing. How can they find you? Where are you putting all your content?
Absolutely. So first and foremost, you can find me on my website. It's ChelesesPerryLLC.com. You can find me on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, and it's real easy. I've kept it simple. At Chelese Perry, you will find me. Okay, you'll find me there. And most recently, I've started to become a little more intentional, specifically on Instagram, where I'm giving different tools from a well-being standpoint, as well as I'm going to be introducing more content around my Align program and just getting a baseline understanding of the chakra system. So I invite you there. And then the other thing that I like to extend to folks that would like to learn a little bit more is a 30-minute complimentary consultation, which you can sign up for that on my website or any of the other platforms. And the reason why that's important, some people say, well, why do you give a complimentary consultation? Why don't you charge for that? Here's my thing. I'd rather for us to sit down up front for 30 minutes to find out if we have alignment, because I'm not for everybody and everybody's not for me. Mm-hmm. So I like to extend that as an opportunity to, let's get to know each other. Let's see how we're vibing, because I think that's critical. Sometimes people want to hire the person that, oh, they have that credential, or they went to that school, or they have 10,000 followers or 100,000 followers. Mm-hmm. My thing is I say, spend time with someone and focus on how you vibe with that person. Mm-hmm. That's what's most important, right? So during that 30-minute conversation, that's what we do. And again, it's not just about whether that person is vibing with me, it's whether I'm vibing with them as well and want to do the work with them. So that would be that's what I would say first off, is to schedule that. And then from there, we can decide together which program works best for you. What direction will work best based on whatever your unique challenges are.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. I appreciate you and your time. Chelese, you are definitely doing an amazing job. I've watched your journey to where you are right now, and you've just been knocking it out of the park. Just the whole, again, combining of the Reiki and the coaching and life and wellness. It's really a very unique concept. I'm sure a lot of coaches may be doing that. I ain't heard of them, but the ones I do know, like you, I know are passionate about what you do. You're caring about what you do and how people perform, and you want to see them continue to perform. That's why they call it practice. We're talking about practice, not a game, but practice.
Yes.
Allen Iverson, shouts out. But so once we figure out that it's an ongoing situation, that's why in yoga and whatever, they don't call it anything but a practice.
Right.
Because you're never going to reach the end of this thing, but you can get better and be more sustained, more fulfilled, and living your life. So I agree with that and love the concept. So we look forward to having you back in the magazine, dropping your knowledge. You don't know it yet, but you're going to be doing a mastermind for my subscribers probably in the month of May. I'm just dropping it out there right now. Because one of the things that I like to do for my subscribers is give them the additional content, give them the private content that I'm not, that's specifically made for them. Once a week on Wednesday, I release a video or a meme or a podcast piece to my customers, subscribers, because I want to build more value, right? I want to build more value into your subscription, which is really nominal. But my overall goal is to move you from the bench to the starting lineup of life. And much like you, whenever that comes, wherever it's needed, that's where I am. It doesn't line just with the magazine. It's not a one-time off. I tell people who are advertising with me, you become part of my tribe, or you come to my coaching program, you become part of my tribe. Yes. I'm calling on you. I'm leaning on you. I need you here. I got this coming on. You said you want an opportunity. Let's go. And if you can come, you come. You don't, you don't. But don't say that Mark Wiggins didn't give you the opportunity, because that's what we're looking for, right? All we want is that chance, that door open, and hopefully you're ready to go. You're ready to go. taking what I've learned over my years as a speaker, business owner, entrepreneur, and now trying to push out through my channel, which is communication and speaking. Taking your story, I say, learn to tell your story so you can sell your story, and your story is your product, service, or your business. That's what we're talking about right now. So I love what you're talking about. Thank you for joining us. And again, to everybody out there, please subscribe to the magazine. It's offthebenchmagazine.com. Get your subscription there. Follow the podcast, Off the Bench with Mark Wiggins. See how simple this really is. And of course, on Instagram, it's OTB Magazine. Definitely follow us there. We have a lot of information coming out. And I will leave you with this, as always, if you can reach your dreams with a step ladder, then they're probably too low. I'm out.